the biz.
What's up, everyone? Good morning. Happy
Good morning.
Monday. Yes, happy Monday. What's the biz followers? I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning so far.
Yes.
Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. We are actually here doing a pre-record. And so that's
Yeah.
why, if you can tell, the background's different. Things are looking a little different. We have decided to moving forward, we're going to be doing I'm sorry, my phone. Going to be doing a pre-records for our Empower Huddles on Monday. You'll still be able to catch them on Monday morning.
Yep.
However, they will be pre-recorded. So just to let you guys know that little disclaimer there. But anyway, happy Monday again. I'm super excited to be back. I felt like I've been gone for a while.
It did feel like
Didn't
that.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
I feel like I've been gone from my What's the Biz family, but I'm back and I'm excited. June was interesting. It was nice as far as the weather goes, but definitely interesting. Just interesting for me. That's really all I could say is just, man, life was lifing.
Possibly a growth month, right?
Yes. No, out of all of it, yes, definitely a growth month. It's like the middle of the year. And you know what? I've had some really good years. Thank God. Like the last decade for me, I feel like, and me and my family has been really, really good. And so, but I'm gonna tell you something, 2023, woo!
Challenging times.
It's been a very challenging and, growing year for sure. But you know what? It's all good because I look around and the things that I like to encourage and empower people, I put that stuff into practice for my own self. You know what? I stay in contact with my village.
Yep.
I stay learning, stay growing, self-care, all the things that we talk about.
Yep.
I just implement them. We have to.
I literally said that to somebody yesterday. I said, the beautiful thing about Dunica, I said, she walks the talk.
Oh,
You really, really do. So
it's hard, but you know what? I'm like, when you see the fruits and when you see the results from doing that, it's like, why go back?
Exactly.
It makes no sense to go back. So, but yeah, if you know me and you love me, keep me in your prayers.
and even if you don't know her and you don't love her, keep her in your prayers.
For sure. Everything's all good. I mean, we're
Yeah.
still hanging in there, but you know what? Life has just been lifing. So we'll just put it that way. But how are you doing, Nina?
I'm doing good. I'm actually doing really good. And speaking of life is lifing, life has been lifing for me since March. So it's been a ride.
Yeah.
But, a lot of things opened up. And
you do the same thing. You just implement.
You just try to, keep those practices true to yourself. And, sometimes it's a struggle, but you keep working at it, You learn, you grow, and you just keep moving on.
Yep. Yeah. And so the segment for this show, we do want to talk about, we bounce ideas off of each other pretty much all week. And the thing that has been on both of our hearts is pretty much learning, of course, and growing. And with that, if I knew what I knew, I feel like this is more for you because you're older, obviously, than me. But it's that life, the gap between you and I, where you could say, if I knew then what I know now, how much of a difference my life would be.
Oh gosh, it would be great difference because knowledge is power, right? So you would, thinking about my life and my journey, where I was to what I know now, I would have done things, of course, a lot differently. And I know a lot of people will say that, right? But there's such values in the lessons that we learn that help us to grow as well. So there'd be quite a few things I would do differently, but there would be some things that I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because they have literally cultivated me to who I am. They have, helped me to adapt my strong suits, and so there would be some things, but not a whole lot, I don't think.
And when we say, if I knew then, it could be things like just knowledge base, I feel like for me personally, life is crazy. It's like, you go through these seasons. We've talked about seasons before on the show, and we go through these seasons where it's like you're in that season for that moment, for a purpose, to learn from, to grow from, whatever it is. It may be a long season, it may be a quick season, whatever it is, you're there at that moment for a divine reason.
Yes.
And so with that, it's like, even if I knew what I know now, if I knew then what I know now, it's like, it wasn't your time to know that
No.
back then, obviously.
No.
That's what life is about. It's
Right.
about growth. You know, with age comes wisdom, all of these things. But
With mistakes come knowledge.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But, you know, even when we're in, not to give too much detail, but just personally, you know, it's like we're getting ready to hit like a really big reset in life. And I talk to a lot of, you know, older people, my husband and I, Donald and I, get a lot of, when we're struggling with a certain situation, you know, we do tend to go to people that have either gone through it,
Right.
similar situations,
Right.
because that's what it's about. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we're so involved in giving our children knowledge and teaching our children, but not realizing that we too are still learning, even in our 30s and 40s. And
Right.
so, you know, we should be able to go to our elders or people that are older than us that have experienced more life than us to get more knowledge. And hey, you know, we're dealing with this situation. Have you dealt with that? Or, you know, what would you do if you were put in this situation type of
Right.
thing? And a lot of the times the information that is given to us is more or less like, well, when I was back in the day, you know, when I did go through that, this is what I did, but this is what I wish I would have done
Right.
because of what I know now.
Right.
And I feel like it's important to really take that and, of course, fit it where you can in your own life because
Yeah.
everybody's different and everybody's situation is different. But take that little bit of knowledge that you're given
Yeah.
and apply it where you can.
Yep.
And unless it's like going to end up in a catastrophe, or the knowledge, the stuff they're giving you is just way off base. But I mean, if it makes sense, a lot of these things can save you from some heartbreak. A lot of
Oh,
these
yeah.
things can save you from making a mistake. Because if you think about it, we talk to our children about, you know, don't do this and don't do that.
And here's the reason
and
why. Here's
and
the repercussions.
Exactly. And we expect them to listen because we're like, hey, listen, it'll save you a lot of heartache. It'll save you a lot of headache. You know, and so sometimes we, you know, me personally, I have to pause and say, you know what, like it's time for me to reach out to the wise so that I can
Yeah.
get some direction. You know, of course, I reach out to God first. I mean, I pray and, you know, try to wait for that answer.
Yeah,
And, you know,
that
I
spiritual
still,
guidance,
Yes,
yeah.
the faith, you know, my faith, make sure that doesn't waver. But, you know, here on earth, it's like I'm going to utilize the wise.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's important when it comes
yeah.
to if I knew then what I know now, because they're the ones that, you know, experienced that life back then.
Yeah, so you take on the position of gleaning from the wise. You know, you and the one thing that I've learned in life is that there's always somebody in your world that can mentor you in a sense. There's always, if you're married, God always has a married couple that maybe you're connected from and you hold a high regard for, and you go to those people for wisdom. And I think that's what this journey of life is all about. It's learning, but growing from the learning. And sometimes life lessons, if you don't, make it through the first time, you're going to go through that same thing again until you learn the lesson.
I know.
You know, and I've had quite a few of those happen for myself,
Yeah.
you know, and I tell you.
Those are scary.
Those are scary.
They're a little scary.
And each time I remember, honestly, like one was harder than the first one. Had I learned the lesson the first time, I don't think the second lesson would have been as hard. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. No,
yeah.
for sure. I mean, it's like that saying that goes, mistakes are okay, just don't do it twice.
Yeah.
You know,
First
even-
time, shame on
Right.
you. Second time, shame on me.
Yeah.
Third time, we fit in a fight.
we fit in
No,
a fight. You can't get fooled again. No. Who says that?
3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah, there you go. But you know what? Even as I like reflect on past experiences, even being in my 30s, it's like 10 years ago, like I mentioned earlier, this past decade, I feel like it's been good. Of course, we've had some challenges up and down, but for the most part, overall, for the most part, I've been extremely blessed. Yes. And I don't take that for granted, and so this year, it's funny because last year, every new year, I'm like, man, God, that was a great year I had, and looking forward to what you have planned for me this following year. But honestly, like my flesh tells me like, you've been having it too good. And that's a sad place to be sometimes, but the reality kicks in. It's like, you have had a really good life. It's not going to be like this all the time. So kind of just prepare for that almost. I don't like to spend much energy or time there in that thought, but, and even just currently going through whatever it is I'm going through, I'm still like, man, I'm still blessed. I still feel like I'm extremely blessed, even though my mind sometimes will wander and I'll get caught up in the mess. But I look back to, and reflect on past experiences. And I'm like, well, how did you get through that? How did you get through those past experiences? And it's the same thing, like staying true to who I am, number one, and always seeking to learn and always seeking to grow and reaching out to my village. I'm like, if I can have 3 things that I turn to in the time of distress or challenges, it's that, keep learning, seek, your spirituality, faith base, and surround yourself with good people and go to the wise, because they've walked that path already. And, I'm not one to say I know everything. And, like they say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Exactly.
So, I continuously switch rooms if I feel like I'm the smartest person in the room, because that's just what life is about. Yeah. But it's a blessing.
It is. And you don't want to get dogged down, or what's the word, pulled down when you reflect in your past. You want to look at things and reflect in a way like, wow, look what I've accomplished, or look, I don't have the same mindset I had 20 years ago, and think about all the grateful ways that, the divine God, the universe, whatever your higher power is, has showed up and just carried you through, because there's things in my past that I will reflect on and share with people as an example of, hey, here's the situation I was in, but look how I overcame it. And, show yourself grace and ease, even if you made horrible mistakes, or
absolutely,
or you've done some things that you're not super proud of. However, look at how far that you've come, so when you do reflect on your past, do it with a lot of love for yourself. Absolutely. Also, and say, you know what, back then I was, but look at me now.
And it's okay.
I am rocking.
There you go. It's okay. You got to be your biggest cheerleader sometimes. Most definitely.
Yeah. So I just encourage the listener to really just look at that for yourself, and, don't get buried in the guilt of your past.
Yeah.
Be grateful for the knowledge that you have now. I think about it this way. At the time of 21, I had 3 kids, single mom. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
You only know and do with what you're equipped with. So you make a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
But you learn from those mistakes, and then you can share with your babies when they're raising babies. Hey, I did it wrong with you, but let's look at this a little different, and you, like you said, you share that wisdom and you change lives, because of what you've learned.
Exactly. And that's when the generations just keep on blessing each other. Right. If you're willing to break the curses that come along with the generations. Because that's important. A lot of people still to this day don't like talking about generational curses. And it's a real thing. Yeah. It really is. It's a real thing. And, for the married folks out there too, it's like, you have your own generational curses and your spouse's generational curses that you may have to deal with and break, for your children. Yep.
Yeah, generational dysfunction. I know I read something not too long ago where it talked about, how hard it is to feel those things and acknowledge those things from our past that have really screwed us up. And a lot of times we as adults, we don't want to look at that stuff because it's too heavy for us emotionally.
Right.
So we would rather not look at it and we would rather bypass it. But in all actuality, there's such a beautiful healing in it when you can look back at it and work at that.
Yes.
Work at what you need to get through.
Oh, yeah.
And I know we're kind of going into a deeper realm. But.
That's all right. That's all right. It's going to move us over to our next overcoming challenges and adversity. How do you deal with that?
Overcoming challenges and adversity. Well, when I was younger, I made a conscious decision that I was going to really look at my ways of being. I was going to look back at my childhood, look at the dysfunction, and decide that I wanted to heal from it. So I decided to pick up a self-help book. I decided to go to seminars and learn about human beings. The psychology is the study of the cognitive. Ontology is the study of philosophy and ways of human beings that we are all alike in. And I just took these courses and I just decided I wanted to shift my way of thinking because I come from a lot of dysfunction, no shame to how I was raised or anything like that. I've gained a lot of good qualities in that, but I know that for myself, I want it to be better.
Yeah.
Making
that choice.
I wanted to stop making bad choices for myself. I wanted to stop literally having horrible relationships. I want it just better for my life, so I could pass that on to my children and my kids. So it took a lot of work.
Yeah.
And, when I think about all the things of life that life, I mean, I could sit here and tell you a million stories, but just the heartbreak and the dysfunction, there was a time where I just said, I don't want to live like this anymore.
Enough is enough. Yeah.
Enough is enough. And for a lot of us, it's hard to make that decision sometimes because you literally have to separate yourself.
Right.
And I separated myself for quite some time. I still had relationships with my family and close friends and things like that, but I really worked at it. I'm not perfect.
Right.
Even though Dunica thinks I am.
You are, Nina. You're perfect.
I am not perfect, believe me. And I learn every day something every day of what I need to work on. But just having the strength to look at it and overcome it. I mean, you think about this. When you think about your childhood and or you think about things that occurred when you were a little girl versus your mindset now.
Right.
It's not the same.
It's not.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, number one, it's because you're a child. You think like a child. You see things as a child. But even in my young adult years, it's like even the things that were important to me then are not important to me now.
Right.
It's like the things I pitched a fit over at 21, it's not important at 31 or I'm not going to say my age because I'm not 31, but it's okay. But, it's not important to me because of the mindset change.
How that changes, though, as you grow?
Yes.
The importance of stuff?
Exactly. Difficult situations and, how they shape our present perspective. I can tell you a time where what I struggle with the most and when it comes to difficult situations is forgiveness.
Ooh.
I know.
Dun, 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 dun.
I know.
That's a big one.
It's a big one. And you know what? Like, it's hard because it's like when you say you love people and when you say you have a heart for people, but the moment they do you wrong and you have to forgive them, like, that's the hardest thing, that is really where God sits me down and grabs a hold of me, and whether he humbles me or changes my entire perspective on things like that, I'm thankful for, because I'm like, I don't want to drag this on. I don't want to drag
because
this
it's not
hate in my
beneficial
heart.
to you.
It's not.
Yeah.
And so, but that is one thing I can honestly say I struggle with. I don't know if you're into astrology. People say Scorpios are like that. I'm a Scorpio.
Hold grudges.
Because we're so, I hear it's because we're so loyal, though. Because we're so loyal that when someone does us wrong, we don't understand how, why, what, like it's just, I hear that that's how they, so I don't know, but.
No, but it's not just, I'm an Aquarius, so it's not just, not to highlight astrology either.
Right.
However, there are temperaments and ways of being and thought processes that, we could say, okay, they're in alignment with that. I can only say this. It's funny that you bring that up. I kind of went through something a few weeks ago where it challenged me deeply because there was a false narrative that was being spread. And I got in my head. I'm like, how could this person do this to me? All this, things that how I support. And, we start going there, right? We start, well, I did this, I did that. And then all of a sudden I remember my coach sharing with me, because, and this was years ago, she said, stop looking at your stuff in those moments and look at their stuff. And I started thinking to myself, hurt people hurt people.
Right.
People that are broken.
That's a book, too.
People that are hurting and that are broken and have mental health issues or have this way of thinking that the whole world's against them, and they can't even walk into their healing because they're so busy staying angry. And I just started thinking about this precious jewel from heaven, and I just thought, they just can't help the way they're being. So I started having like compassion for that person.
That's where I lack. Yeah, I'm like,
it's hard
you
though. But it's hard because our expectation, especially if it's people that we love deeply, right? Our expectation is I show up in the world this way.
Right.
And then when somebody comes into the world a different way or into our world a different way, our expectation is they should show up just like me and be to me what I am to them. But the reality is they can't be because there's stuff there,
You all just got a free coaching session, by the way. That's why she's the life coach and I'm not. Because I'm like, I'd be like, just stop talking to people. Like, just stop talking to them. Like, they don't deserve you.
Block their number.
They don't you don't owe them forgiveness. But then when you learn forgiveness is not for them, it's for you, it's like, whatever.
And I know that sounds like a cliche or and it crosses social media sometimes all the time, that statement. But the reality is true.
It's true.
If you can find love and compassion for the people who are lacking, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, because if you don't, then I'm gonna tell you, when God sits you down, when you get sat down and you get humbled and and then all your mess gets presented in front of you, like, oh, you can't forgive, but people can forgive you. Like, I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Lesson learned. But, I'm still a work in progress, as we all are.
Baby girl.
Yes, we are. It's all good. But self-development in general, it's a part of, what we just discussed. It's all a part of self-development, right? Personal development. It's forgiveness is a part of it. Healing is a part of it. Growing and learning, they're all a part of personal development, self-development. And so it's so important for us to just chip away a little bit at a time on what we feel like needs more attention in our own lives. And so I would just encourage you guys to find that wherever you are in this moment, and just start small. Small, baby steps. If there's something that you feel like is weighing you down or holding you down, pick up a book, surround yourself with like-minded people, good people, the wise, if there are older people who have lived life and have lots to share, then just have conversations, step out of your shell, and just fellowship with people, or bury yourself in books, because the times we're in right now, we have, with the internet, with the access to libraries and books.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
If you don't like reading, there's
Audibles,
Kindle, there's
yes.
Audibles, there's podcasts that YouTube has.
Absolutely.
A lot of wonderful
University of YouTube is great.
Self-help things, Yeah.
Absolutely. Just, don't stay in the spot you're in if you don't like it. You're the only
Invest
one
in
that
yourself.
has. Yes, absolutely. You're the only one that has the choice to do that. So invest in yourself, because you're worth it.
Yep.
And you deserve it. You deserve to be happy, and you deserve to be successful. So I hope you guys have a great week. Any thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, I just want to leave you with this. Instead of asking yourself, if I knew then what I know now, moving forward in my life, ask, what can I learn now to reduce my regrets in the future?
Oh, I love that. There's a lot of things that I would ask myself, or that I would change, but that was awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And What's the Biz followers and listeners, we appreciate you, and we love you dearly, and we send all of the great, good energy, vibes for you guys this week, for you to conquer things that you may not have been able to conquer in the past. But be encouraged, and we hope you have a wonderful and blessed week.
Yes.
Bye.